just like that, we are back. And we're now venturing off into our second segment for the morning. Now, this one is geared towards healthcare treatment for transgender in Belize. Now, in with us, we've got Star Reyes, who is a transgendered man. And we also have Dr. Shana Pott, who is a general practitioner at Belize Healthcare Partners. I'd like to wish both of you a very, very welcome. Good morning and welcome to OIE.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So, having read over and watching the video, Star, exactly, I'd like to start with you first. A very, very touching story. And that's exactly where we'd want to start. Tell us your story.
Well, I was born like any other baby, normal, natural birth, but I was born in a female body. And growing up for me, it was very difficult and challenging because I didn't quite understand how my body and my mind did not connect. As a child, I knew that I wanted more. I leaned into more male stuff, male activities, male clothing, the behaviors, and it was quite a challenge growing up in a home that is not accepting or welcoming, and then into a society that is the same, not accepting. And accessing gender affirming care in Belize has been quite a challenge. I was also seeking a doctor that could at least administer my hormones so I don't have to self-medicate. Because in the transgender community, self-medicating is one of the leading health issues within the transgender community.
Interesting. Yeah. So if you have to get hormone shots, people are doing it for themselves?
Yes,
happens
it's
a
a
lot.
very serious touch.
Wow.
Okay. Now, let's just backtrack for a minute and acknowledge that this is a young conversation for Belize. People are only starting, especially locally. We know internationally there are different movements taking place, but we don't talk as openly about the transgenders who are living in this country and do have their own vulnerabilities and challenges in being able to live a normal life. For you, what district were you in? And even making your transition, what has that been like?
Well, I can tell you that starting my transition, thanks to Dr. Pott and also fellow doctor friends of mine in New Jersey that has been guiding us. It's been something that I never imagined having lived my true, authentic life.
Yeah.
And that's just a blessing on its own. But there are other aspects of me as a human, not as a transgender person,
Yes.
but as a human that I would like people to, I don't know, maybe give me an opportunity to know me. And it often happens that there's this irrational fear, and I call it an irrational fear towards the transgender community or the LGBT plus community, because we're just people. Trying to live our lives, trying to get a job, trying to get an education, trying to get a degree, take care of our families. We have families. We have people that depend on us. We pay taxes. So, we're not aliens. We're not out of this world. We're just people that want to live with dignity and respect. And one of the things that I can tell you is what is an irrational fear, and I always have to talk about it. It's because I'm 4'10" in height. I am not a threat. How can I be a threat to you? I'm not walking around with an AK-47.
Yeah.
I'm just living my daily life, going to the supermarket, getting my stuff, go to the clinic. Passing a checkpoint has been one of my most I can't even explain how frustrating it is to pass the checkpoint every day and being questioned, is this you on the ID? And then I would be a mock to the police officers. They would call the other officer and say, hey, come here. Look. It doesn't look like. It says she, but look at him. And,
Wow.
they would discriminate, and because they have this level of this power, they become bullies. And I've stood my grounds many times.
Yeah.
They've even questioned. Police officers would say, "Well, show me your social security," and I would say, "You saw my driver's license. Isn't that enough?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you ask a cis person for their social security? And then the question, so what do you have between your legs? I don't think you need to question my genitals.
What? Yeah.
Is that tough?
I'm sorry that this is something you have to experience in 2021 in this country. But it does show where there is a need for more understanding and education to take place. I want to ask you, just as a trans man and as a trans activist, how are you getting your message out, and what has been the response?
Visibility.
Yeah.
I have realized that within the region, the Caribbean region, because I'm also a trans activist within the Caribbean region, I realized that there's more of a talk about trans women, and the movement of trans women is really strong. But you don't hear that many trans men out there. And it's because of the lack of visibility. And this platform right now is how I get my message across. Yeah. And also, when people make assumptions about me, for example, if I go to the bank teller, I constantly need to explain my medical information. Why do I need to disclose that to the police officers? If I apply for a job, it's the same thing. And so I try to explain to people and try to educate them. If they would misgender me, I'd say, no, it's okay. I'm actually a trans man and my pronouns are he, him. And then they would be like, oh, okay, nice. And people would say, well, how come you're not angry about it? And I say, what do I gain with being angry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've already fought, and one of the things with our community is that we fight within each other. There's so much anger within us because we're fighting against each other. We're fighting against our family. We're fighting to come out. Then we go into this real world, the society that doesn't accept us, that doesn't see us, that just uses us. And, so we're angry all the time. And so for me to be angry and not being able to educate you, that's just a moment of educating you, just disappearing. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So I try to be as compassionate and sympathize, and I just wish that people could give me the opportunity to speak to them and explain to them who I am as a person.
Star, you did mention that you're an activist within the region. What is the utterance from your counterparts within the region, the people that you talk to, the people that that live elsewhere? Are they feeling the same thing as you are, being that you're here?
There's a lot of violence.
Yeah.
A lot of violence.
So it's worse elsewhere?
Yes, we're talking about Guyana, Trinidad, Dominican Republic. We're talking about Cuba. We're talking about Cayman Islands, Jamaica, all these places, Guatemala. And, one of the things that brings us together is the need for gender recognition legislation. Because just having that ID so for example, in Belize, like many other countries, Caribbean countries, because we share the same legislation and stuff, you are able to change your name, but not change your gender marker. And that's where the problem comes. That's the leverage that people use to discriminate against us. So
that's interesting.
Having that gender marker change would be the beginning for the trans community to live a normal life.
Yeah. How else has discrimination? What are some of the other places that you see discrimination? I know you went to Facebook recently to document your challenges with accessing adequate health care. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah.
For 4 years now, 4 years in 2020. Sorry. I was trying to find a doctor, and I spoke to so many doctors. I explained to them what I want to do, gender affirming care, and they said no, it goes against my religious values, or so a very, very, very well-known doctor even compared me to HIV. He said, back when I was in school and HIV came out, nobody wanted to touch HIV. You people are just like that. Ooh. And I was like, excuse me? And he's a very well-known doctor, and I was like so shocked. But one day I posted a very sarcastic post on Facebook, and I put a veterinary use syringe, and I said, when I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it, because I'm gonna do it, something like that. And I saw people saying, hi, congratulations, and I was like, are these people not reading? The label on the package said, for veterinary use only. Yeah. And it was a joke, but when I think of it, it's not, because a lot of people go to the extent of self-medicating with anything. Even in the black market, there's hormones that can do severe damage to your liver, severe damage to your body organs. And that day, Dr. Pot reached out to me and said, Star, who's administering your hormones? And I said, no one, because I haven't started, and I'm not gonna start on my own, because it's scary. And so ever since then, I've been guided by Dr. Pot and my other friends in New Jersey for 5 months now, with going into my transition.
Yeah, I see the smile.
Dr. Pot. Yeah.
Dr. Pot, we need you in here now. Tell us about that connection.
Well, Star said something very important. I've been here listening, and it's not the first time that I'm hearing his story, of course. And it truly saddens me that he's had these experiences, So I see Star and everybody else as a person, as a human being who is in need of healthcare, just like everybody else. And so when Star shared with me what this well-known physician said to him, and that stigma against HIV patients, unfortunately, still exists to some extent. And the trans community, it's something that's new as well. So I guess there's a fear of it, and some people just choose not to involve themselves with it, but there's no need for that level of discrimination and tone that comes with them rejecting this community, So I just believe that everybody deserves healthcare, and it's a scary thing. When I saw that, I was like, what is going on here? And I don't know what the future holds, and we have to pave a way for our children and their children after them. And it's not something that I would want to see my child go through, or any of, anybody that I love or care for. So, of course, I reached out to Star, and he got me in touch with Dr. Dana Delgado in New Jersey. Delgado, is that the name, Star?
Yes.
Anyway,
yes.
So I got all this material and started reading and educating myself on, the transition and what they may go through, and also the psychological part of it. That's very important, and there was like the background of this abuse and rejection from your own family. And those are things that are necessary to factor in, because then all that abuse, and it leads to, drug abuse and all these things that come with it. And Star even told me before that, I don't know if he was trying to make me feel good, but he's like, you really saved me from a road of just drugs and depression. And so I'm glad that I was able to help.
So from what I understand, it's not necessarily specialized care, like there's a specialist that's needed. It's an openness by the healthcare professionals. Is that right?
I believe so. I believe so because it's new. There's no, I mean, I received the material from somebody who has way more experience than I do because this is so new in Belize. We hardly hear of it,
Yeah.
and so I had to do all my reading, all my study, and medicine is forever evolving, so that's nothing new.
Yeah.
You want to be up to date. If you're a doctor, you're never done studying. So of course I had to go through all this before I was able to help him. But yes, you have to be open to it. It's not, it just like HIV, anything that you choose to, you have to be open. These are people. They're
Yeah.
people just like you and me,
Yeah.
and they deserve equal right to healthcare.
Dr. Pot, I could hear the compassion in your voice of how compassionate you are, especially with respect to what Star is going through. Are other people reaching out to you feeling the same way?
Um, Not as much. Um, I guess some people still have reservations, and healthcare can also be quite expensive. The hormones are expensive, all these things, and
Yeah.
so I know that, like Star expressed to me, a lot of people in the trans community, what they went through in their households. A lot of them are not even educated or have proper jobs, or so they might feel some sort of reservation in terms of seeking, healthcare at a private institution or things like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, I'm open to helping who I can help.
Yeah. Star, bring it back to explaining what the community experience is. You made a very clear note of saying that you are, I think, the first openly trans man in Belize. And we've had trans women who also speak out as well. How big is the trans community in Belize, and how many are actively engaged with the organization that you're a part of?
Well, I can't really give you a number out there, but I can tell you that I know a couple of people that have been going through the similar struggle like I have. I know of this great organization here in Belize that has been assisting the community for quite a few number of years, and that's called Tia Belize, and that's led by one of my colleagues, Zania Kanol, and she has also paved the way for a lot of people, including myself, to live my life. Um, but what I can say to the community out there and to anyone that is willing to support us in any way possible, whether it be just talking to us or learning about us, educating themselves basically, or donating to the community, to the cause, is we need support system. Most of us have been abused for a number of years by our family members, the people that are supposed to take care of us. I have experienced that. I have experienced homelessness and drug addiction and alcohol abuse and overdoses. And it's not a good feeling to be a kid, a 16-year-old kid living in the park and not having anyone to lean on. And I could just imagine that there are a lot of other kids, LGBT plus kids out there experiencing the same thing or maybe worse. And I just like to tell people that if you're going to support the trans community, please support a trans-led community organization. And just support system is one of the biggest how can I say it? It's one of the biggest support that we need.
Yeah.
Like people to talk to, because we don't have family members. So we choose our family. And for us to be out there on our own and going through all this discrimination without our parents or siblings or uncles, whatever. I mean, for you to talk to me today, you're saving me from a lot of things, a lot of damage to my health, to my body, to my mind. Suicide, we have high levels of suicide within the region, and alcohol abuse. And so for me, it's very important to talk to people, especially the youths.
Since you have come out so openly as an activist, and we also have your commercials from Live and Let Live, we see your story being shared, your friends speaking out on your behalf. Have you seen a shift?
I have received messages from a lot of people. A lot of I was surprised to even have people that I never would have expected, that would have reached out and say, hey, I saw your video and I just want you to know that I'm proud of you. It's just remarkable to get that feedback, to know that other people are watching it. Parents actually said, wow, I would never want mine to go through this. Thank you, Star.
Yeah.
And it just gives me hope. But, I just want people to understand that it's not just about me wanting my hormones or a trans woman wanting to start her hormones. No, it's about beyond that. It's changing the laws, the outdated laws in Belize that infringes on our human rights, basic human rights. Because there are landlords that will not rent to us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The minute they find out that we're trans, or a cis person is living with a trans person, that's a no-no. And so we experience a lot of discrimination when it comes to housing, to jobs, education, even going to a supermarket. The person that would spray your hand now, because they spray your hand when you go into a supermarket, they're like, are you a male or are you a female? Like, why? I just came to buy groceries. How is that any of your business?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the main goal of the organization, the trans organization right now? What are you working towards?
Definitely raising awareness about the trans community, which is very new. And also working on gender recognition policy for this year. That's my main goal. And just having a trans community free of stigma, discrimination, and violence.
Yeah.
That's our main goal, for us to live.
All right. Star, I find it for me, one of the things that I'm hearing, because I'm listening to you very clearly, along with Dr. Pot, you did mention that within the region, it's much more tougher. Yesterday was tough for you as well, but you actually are seeing a ray of hope because people are now recognizing you, and they're being, not necessarily, I don't want to use the word lenient, but they actually recognize that who you are. Would you, especially for those who are hiding behind because they're so afraid to come on out, would you say that tomorrow would be a better day for them, being that you've seen a little bit of hope? You did mention that you once lived in the park.
I'd like to say to anyone out there that is struggling that I see you, I acknowledge you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to be a part of this movement, of this fight. Because my fight is your fight. It's our fight. And you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's deep. Dr. Pot, final words are yours with respect to this conversation. I mean, it's a very touching one. What are your thoughts?
Well, like I said, I've been treating Star for a while, and I've heard all the stories, and so I'd just like to encourage my colleagues that when you're treating anybody, don't look, it's not about a gender or if they're trans, if they're gay, HIV, you're treating a person. We took an oath, and we're supposed to just, know that this is somebody that needs our help, that we can make the world a better place by simply being compassionate and understanding and respectful of your fellow human being.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And just lastly, how can people, if they're looking for support, whether they're an ally or whether they just want to talk to someone, where do they go, Star?
Yes. So on Facebook, I'm under Facebook as Star Reyes. You know, I'm open to anyone reaching out. And also there's Tia Belize. It's also on Facebook. So just type in Tia Belize, and the information will pop up. And thank you so much for having me.
Well,
Been an
thank
honor.
you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
It's so important that we hear just the different experiences that people have. And thank you, Dr. Pot, as well, for stepping up and also speaking out on behalf of the medical community. We do appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Best of luck and
Best
stay
of luck to
safe.
both of you.
Thank you.
All right. We're about to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be showing you how to create an arrangement of chocolate-covered strawberries for your mom. Stay with us. We'll be right back.